What's up guys, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. In this video we're going to take a look at a different spin on an Aromatisse deck. We've seen a couple different versions of it so far. The first one I featured was one featuring Xerneas for the Geomancy attack that can energy accelerate fairy energy onto your Pokemon, and then we move them around with Aromatisse. And then we've also seen the heavy metal fairies deck with Kling Klang and Aromatisse. And now we'll see a third type of deck that's going to feature mainly Plasma Pokemon and Aromatisse. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. The heart of the deck is Aromatisse for the Fairy Transfer ability. This has become one of the most popular and powerful cards in the format just because moving around energy is pretty darn good. As often as you like, you can move a fairy energy around, and that means we can also move these rainbow energy and prism energy, which provide every type. So that's the main focus of the deck, moving things around. It's like a toolbox kind of a deck where we try to hit for weakness and use the correct Pokemon in the correct situations where we're able to just move the energy to the right Pokemon. Now, of course, it's going to depend on which Pokemon you're using. So, first we're going to look at, let's take a look at Landorus EX. Hammerhead for 1 energy does 30 and then 30 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Now, it's a good attack. It's kind of gotten weaker as time has gone on. But now that we have Muscle Band, which we'll play 3 of, now Hammerhead's doing a little bit more. We're doing 50 to the active and then 30 to a benched Pokemon as well. That's pretty good. Especially against things like Thundurus EX or any fighting weak Pokemon. We can then hit for 100 for 1 fighting and then 32 bench Pokemon as well. And that's 130 total damage for a single energy, and I call that efficient. Of course, that's against a fighting weak Pokemon, but whatever. Next attack is Land's Judgment. We can do 80 and then discard all fighting energy. If we do, it does 70 more damage. Now, it does 150. Again, with the Muscle Band, this can hit 170 damage, which knocks out a lot of popular EXs. So we can get a big hit with Landorus EX, or we can spread some quick damage around with Hammerhead. A pretty solid card in this deck. We have 2 of those. One of the biggest Pokemon from XY has been Yveltal EX, and of course we're going to run this thing. Evil Ball is ridiculous. 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. That's going to make Evil Ball very strong, and when we can just kind of move energy to it, that's even better. So this will help us really take down those big threats that have a lot of energy on them. We can also Y Cyclone, do 90, and then move an energy to one of your bench Pokemon. So that's pretty good as well. Yveltal should be in pretty much any deck that can use dark energy. It's just that darn good. Then we have Genesect EX, which is kind of a focus of this version of the deck. We're actually using Red Signal. If you look over here, we do play 4 Plasma Energy. We're pretty low on energy, just 4 Rainbow, 4 Prism, 4 Plasma Energy. You can attach a Plasma here, Red Signal, bring out one of your opponent's benched Pokemon to the active spot. This helps us target things down. And then we have Megalo Cannon as well, 100 and then 20 to a benched Pokemon. Now we're actually going to run G-Booster as well. This is pretty good for getting big one-hit knockouts. You do have to discard 2 energy, but it's worth it if we can knock out an EX with just 1 shot with G-Booster. So we have 2 Genesect as well. Something interesting that I'm trying out in this deck is Suicune. Safeguard Pokemon are becoming more and more powerful, I think, because the format is once again returning to lots of high amounts of EX Pokemon, and they don't always have a lot of non-EX Pokemon, so a couple Suicune alone could win you the game sometimes. This is actually very useful against those Emboar decks as well, since you can hit Delphox for weakness. It actually knocks out a Delphox in 1 hit, and with a Muscle Band we can knock out just about any water-weak Pokemon in 1 hit with Aurora Beam. So Suicune is a nice safeguard Pokemon to have. I'm not sure exactly how useful it is, but hey, we're going to include it in this deck. Then for the other support Pokemon, we have Virizion EX. Verdant Wind is pretty darn good. This will stop Hypnotoxic Laser from reaching 1-hit knockouts on your Pokemon, and also stop Excelgor from paralyzing you. Any status effects are neutralized by Verdant Wind. And since we have grass energy in the form of Prism and Rainbow, it's pretty good. We have one Thunderous EX. This can help us recover energy if we lose it. This is very good. We can Raid Knuckle onto the Genesect EX that we have on the bench and get some more into play. And it also serves as a lightning type attacker as well. We can Thunderous Noise against lightning weak Pokemon. Pretty simple. And then we have one Jirachi EX. This is a consistency card, honestly. We don't really plan on attacking with Jirachi. Stellar Guidance allows us to search for a supporter card. And as long as we can find it, we can find a supporter. And that's really strong, you know. We do play 2 Level Ball. This allows us to get the Spritzy and the Aromatisse into play very quickly. And then 3 Ultra Ball as well. We can search for Pokemon with these, and at any point if we have these, we can search for Jirachi, which can turn into a supporter card, which turns into more cards. So, Jirachi, pretty good. A Max Potion is a very big card in this deck, since we're going to be taking hits, and then you can move the energy around with Fairy Transfer to a different Pokemon. Max Potion, heal all the damage off, and then move the energy back, and it's like they never got hurt at all. So 3 Max Potion to keep our Pokemon alive and well. We saw the Muscle Bands before. We have a couple Tool Scrappers. This is very good against things like Genesect's G Booster to get rid of that, and also random Muscle Bands, and it's also good against Garbodor, which Garbotoxin is kind of annoying since it shuts off Fairy Transfer, and we don't want to see that happen. Now, we also have Fairy Garden. We have 3 of these, and any Pokemon that has any Fairy Energy attached to it has no retreat cost. This allows us to switch freely between Pokemon. It's also a nice counter stadium to a lot of different stadiums that are out there right now. And then just our supporters, 4 Chorus, 4 N, 4 Juniper, and then 3 Skyla as well. So we got a healthy amount of supporters to keep our deck nice and consistent. So this is actually a fairly simple deck, but it's got some tricks to it since we can move all the energy to different Pokemon. There are plenty of different ways you can take this deck. You can add in any type of attacker if you want to. If you're running into a problem with a certain type of Pokemon, you can easily just tech in all sorts of things. You know, like if you're worried about Genesect, you could add in Victini EX or Entei EX. Both of those work. Any type of Pokemon you want, we can power it up with Prism and Rainbow. So that is the deck in a nutshell. Of course, I do have a game with it, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And this is actually from my live stream that I did on Thursday night. So this was a live game that I played. It was a pretty exciting one, so we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Now it looks like, by the looks of it, we're going up against a Virizion Genesect deck. So this actually brings a lot of challenges to the table. I'm going to go ahead and Skyla for a Level Ball right away. We'll go ahead and grab a Spritzy so we can get that right on the board, and perhaps an Aromatisse on the second turn. We'll bench the Landorus as well. Now I have a decision, where do I want to put this Rainbow Energy? I think it's just going to go on the Yveltal. So turn 2 we can Evil Ball and threaten a knockout on the Virizion on the following turn. So quick Evil Balls are pretty nice against this deck, since we can just, you know, Evil Ball for like 80 this turn and then 100 the next turn after it uses Emerald Slash and get a quick 2 prizes. But Genesect EX provides a pretty big problem for this deck, because it has, number 1, Red Signal that can target down your Aromatisse, and then number 2 is G Booster, which can just one-shot your Pokemon, take them right off the board. That's not something you want to deal with, because, well, if you get knocked out in one hit, you lose your energy, and the whole point of this deck is to not lose your energy. We want to move them around and keep stuff alive with Max Potion. So Virizion Genesect decks can be a problem, but we can certainly deal with them. Now, I do have a weird hand here where we have some Ultra Ball, but I don't really want to discard those Pokemon because I don't really know if I'll need them or not. So we're going to hold on to them. And we don't really need Aromatisse immediately here, so I'm not that worried about it. And looks like my opponent's powering up the Virizion EX. And we're going to see an Emerald Slash. I get hit with an N, that's actually fine. Yeah, it's going to work out pretty well. Now I won't have to discard as many things with the Juniper as I had to before. And there is the Emerald Slash, and the energy go on to the Genesect EX. So I'm going to bench a second Spritzy, just in case. Again, it could get... My other one could get red signaled out and then hit by a Megalo Cannon for a knockout. And we don't want to see that happen, do we? No, we don't. So, I have a Prism Energy here. I'm just going to throw it down onto the Suicune, and then we're going to bench the second Yveltal EX. Just get that into play. And we do have an Ultra Ball. We can get rid of the Spritzy, and then I guess an N or a Skyla. Both of those would be alright. I guess we'll get rid of the N, why not? And then we'll get the Aromatisse into play. So here is an interesting turn. And we're going to retreat into the Yveltal EX that has no damage on it, and then Fairy transfer the energy up to the active, just so we can go ahead and Evil Ball with a fresh one. And this is going to be a very telling turn of the game. If my opponent can G Booster and knock out my Yveltal EX, then we'll kind of be at a standstill. But I'll have Thundurus EX to kind of recover some energy next turn. So we'll have that option. A red signal onto Aromatisse would be another option. But I think if that's going to happen, we'll have perhaps enough cards to Evil Ball in response for the knockout. And if that happens, I think we're going to win. But it's going to be dependent on what my opponent does at this point. Basically, this fairy deck needs to build up a certain amount of energy in play to kind of get rolling. And once you get to like 5, 6 energy in play, your options are almost endless, and you can start to just knock things out of one hit without fear of losing too much energy. So that's going to be our goal. We want to build up enough energy. I'm scared of having things being knocked out, so we don't want to commit too much energy to one thing in case it just gets knocked out in one hit. So that's the idea. So we saw an interesting kind of backpedal there. My opponent was not able to get a red signal and was not able to get the G booster either. So he has to switch into Virizion EX and then energy switch and then go for another Emerald Slash, which is, it's not bad, but probably not what he wanted to do. So here we're stuck in another interesting position. I have a Skyla here, and I could just grab a Max Potion and just keep attacking with Yveltals. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing, since that puts on some pressure. I could Hammerhead with Landorus, but if I do that, it's not putting on a whole lot of pressure, right? Just doing 30, and then I would need to commit a bunch of energy to knock out Virizion if I wanted to on the following turn. So I don't know if that's the correct thing to do. So I think the right thing might be just to Skyla for a Max Potion, and then Evil Ball. Hit this Virizion EX for 100, and set it up for a knockout, and then later we can finish it off. So I think that's what I'm going to go for. There are lots of options with this deck. It can be kind of difficult to play sometimes. And bench space is certainly precious. So benching that Suicune earlier might not have been the best idea. Since, I don't know, against this kind of a deck, I don't really feel comfortable committing 3 energy to it. Because it can be knocked out by the G-Booster. So, I'm not really sure. I could just Evil Ball, but you know what? We're just going to go for it. And if my opponent decides to G-Booster here, that's whatever. And in order to pull off a G-Booster even, my opponent would need, what? An energy switch, and the G-Booster. And then has to discard 2 energy, only for 1 prize. I mean, I'm okay with that outcome. And there is the G-Booster, so this certainly could happen. But again, I am okay with this outcome. And then we can just raid Knuckle. Actually, I wouldn't be able to get any extra energy in play, so that might be kind of devastating. But we'll just take the risk. That would be a lot for my opponent to have. Yeah, I just realized I don't have any other Team Plasma Pokemon in play. I really need to make sure you get Genesect on the board with this deck. It gives you flexibility with red signaling, and gives you a place to put your energy with Thundurus EX. So that's kind of a lesson. Be sure you have a Genesect down with this deck, because it's pretty good. Now, it looks like we're seeing a Plasma Energy on to the Genesect, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. He could red signal for something, and I'm not really sure what. Now, going after the Spritzy might not be a bad idea, because then another red signal could knock out Aromatisse, and then I would just be out of ways to, move my energy around, and that could be pretty bad. But it looks like there is no red signal. Maybe I was just seeing things. I don't know. And we see an Emerald Slash for 50 damage once again. So this will be... I think this turn was a victory for me. Of course, now I can Tool Scrapper both of those tools away, including the ever so important G-Booster. And I got the Max Potion. I'm going to miss an energy drop here, which is pretty big, but oh well. We do get the second Aromatisse into play. That's pretty big. And now we can go ahead and move a couple energy. We also got the Muscle Band, which is very nice. Just move 2 energy up to the active Yveltal EX, and then just a Muscle Band. And boy, doesn't seem like this should do 120 damage, should it? But it does. That's 4 combined energy, a Muscle Band, and then the base 20 from Evil Ball, and now we're just down to the 2 prizes. Funny how that works. Yeah, that adds up so quickly. Alright, so we're down to 2 prizes, but this is far from over. We still need to knock out 1 more EX to have a shot at this. We see the Shadow Triad, so that means we're going to see the G-Booster come back, yep. And that's not what I wanted to see, but guess there's not too much I can do about it. And that's going to knock out the Yveltal EX. So that'll wipe 2 energy off my board, and I really wish I had gotten an attachment last turn, but that just was not going to happen, I guess. So now we'll just Skyline, and if I grab a Muscle Band or the G-Booster, we win. Okay, never mind. Looks like I don't have G-Booster, and I don't have Muscle Band. Oh. Well, it would have been nice, I guess. Alright, so I think plan B is to Tool Scrapper away that G-Booster. We don't want that on board anymore. And yeah, only 2 Muscle Band are gone, so that means my last 2 prizes are Muscle Band and G-Booster, and that is painful. If I had either one of those, this game was over right here. Oh well. So we're going to Tool Scrapper away the G-Booster. Again, we do not want to see that pesky thing on the board any longer. And we'll just put a Rainbow onto Aromatisse. We'll have that take the 10 damage. And I might actually just Hammerhead this turn. We can just do 30 and then 30 to the other Genesect, I guess, and set it up for a Land's Judgment or an Evil Ball or something. Just make it easier to knock out Genesect and take those last 2 prizes. We still have 3 Plasma Energy left. We can Red Signal, get a win next turn. It's a bummer we weren't able to win this turn, but oh well. But let's just take it slow, I guess. Sometimes you have to be patient with this deck and just make sure you don't overextend your energy. That's the biggest thing. So we will Hammerhead right now. Just spread some energy around and take the knockout. Or not the knockout. I wish it was a knockout. We'll just take the 30 and 30 to the 2 Genesect EX. And the next turn we'll go for the red signal. And we'll get a win with a Land's Judgment. That is the plan. Alright. So there's not really anything on board that can even knock out Landorus this turn. You know, another Shadow Triad for a G-Booster again could happen, but that seems pretty unlikely. Let's see. I think we saw an Ultra Ball right there. Not sure what that's going to go for. Maybe Roserade. I just noticed there's a Roselia on the bench. Roserade has Le Parfum, which can search for any card when you put it into play. It's very good in Virizion Genesect deck since it can search for G-Booster. It's just any Level Ball or Ultra Ball turns into a G-Booster. We actually see a Pokemon catcher. We don't see that too often in Genesect decks anymore since Red Signal kind of takes care of that and catcher is a flip now. So that is kind of shocking to see. There's a Sky Arrow Bridge. And let's see what else is going to happen. I don't know. What other crazy tricks does my opponent have up his sleeve? Another Pokemon catcher. Oh, no. So that Yveltal EX is going to get dragged out and then hit by a Gold Breaker in the face for 120. And now we're tied at 2 prizes apiece. So, this shall be interesting. So I'm going to level ball here. And, oh, yeah, that's right. I have Jirachi. So this is why Jirachi is good. Late in the game, or any time in the game you need a supporter, Jirachi is your pal. And now we can just Stellar Guidance for a Chorus for 10 and just need to draw Plasma Energy. We can Red Signal for the win. And I'm sure we drew... Okay, we did not draw one. Oh. Right. So, we did have 3 Plasma Energy left. Alright. Guess we aren't getting those. I'm going to Ultra Ball now, and yep, there's the 3 Plasma Energy. That's awesome. I was hoping we could draw one of those off the 10 cards, but it looks like that's not happening. So we'll just, knock out the Bouffalon at this point. And then next turn, we should be able to win, right? Alright. So we've had a lot of opportunities to win here, and the deck is not cooperating. Alright, there's the Muscle Band we could have used to win a couple turns ago. But now we have it. And alright, my opponent's just going to pass with the Virizion EX active. So now we can Land's Judgment for 170 damage with the Muscle Band. And take the final knockout finally. Seemed like we were just so close to winning all those times, and now finally we can get the last knockout. And as you see, the G-Booster was indeed the last prize. Would have been nice to have. But, hey, we managed to win anyway. It just shows how strong this deck is, even when your 2 prizes are the worst possible things. You can still pull off a victory. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly will have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.